Hello, my subscribers. Today, we're going to show you a romance movie called Black Island. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and press subscribe and like so that the channel helps in development. A young man named Jonas and his parents have come to the funeral of his grandmother, who was mauled by a dog. 4 months later, Jonas's parents are driving in the car and talking about his father's relationship with his grandfather, Friedrich. Suddenly, an oncoming car pulls out, and his father, trying to avoid a head-on collision, drives into a ditch and crashes into a tree. No one survived the accident. Jonas spends the next few days at his parents' funeral, along with his friends, Flori and Joel and Na, who have come to support him. He is overcome with grief and despair. But Na tries to calm him down later. People gather at Frederick's grandfather's house to pay their respects to the deceased's family. The grandfather approaches his grandson and tells him that he does not have to move to Bavaria to live with his aunt, and he can stay with him on the island until he turns 18. A year has passed, and Jonas's pain has subsided. We see him catching up with his friends on their bicycles, and they ride to school together in the middle of the school day. A woman enters the classroom and asks the class to follow her outside. She gathers the children around her and tells them that their teacher had an accident while on vacation in Mallorca, and this year she will be their German teacher. The woman introduces herself as Helena Young. After class, Jonas and Florian sit outside and talk. Then Helena approaches them and asks if they are free that evening and if they can help with the furniture after moves. Na overhears and quickly offers to help the friends meet up together and walk to the teacher's house. When they arrive at the house, the boys start assembling the wardrobe while Na stays downstairs to cut the carpet. She goes into the pantry and finds a suitcase with a tag that says Mallorca on it. Suddenly, Helena comes in and asks what she's looking for, and Na replies that she needs a piece of wood. The woman gives the girl what she needs, and Na leaves. Helena notices that she forgot to remove the tag from her suitcase upstairs. The guys have finally finished with the wardrobe, but then Nina comes in and her leg is covered in blood. She cut herself seriously and Floriano took her to the hospital. As soon as everyone leaves, Helena goes back to the pantry and rips the tag off the suitcase. That night, we see a woman sitting at a table with photos of Jonas, and it seems that she is stalking him. She collects all the photos and sets them on fire in the sink. The next morning, Jonas meets Helena on the beach, who, like him, is going for a morning jog. They talk, and the girl asks him if he is dating Na, to which he answers in the negative in class. Helena assigns her students to write a poem after class. Na goes to Jonas's house to ask for help at the next lesson. Na reads out her paper, and Helena realizes that she did not write it. She asks Jonas about it, and he admits that it was him. The teacher expresses her admiration and says that the boy is talented. The woman asks about his other works and asks to see them. And now we are again transported to Helena's house, who this time is working in the garden and accidentally notices that Jonas is trying to put a parcel in her mailbox. She runs up to him, takes out the contents, and invites him inside. After tiring work in the garden, she goes to take a shower, and the guy peeps at her through the door. A few hours later, Helena has finished Jonas's latest work, and he asks her opinion after, which he sees that she is moved to tears. As he wipes the tears from her face, they exchange a meaningful kiss that quickly turns into something more. The next morning, Jonas meets Helena on his way to school. He tells her that what happened earlier was a mistake on the way they pass. Na, who is surprised to see him in the classroom. Jules and Na notice the teacher's strange behavior after the lesson. The girl admits that she did not write the poem. When she goes outside, she tells Jonas about it, and he says that the teacher guessed it in the next scene. Na helps the boy clean his parents' house. Jonas remembers his loss and starts to cry. Na hugs him, and they exchange a loving kiss. The girl assures him that he will not lose her like his parents. A day later, a small seminar is held at the school where Grandpa Friedi gives a speech and notices that Helena is standing in the distance now with a short hairstyle. The man looks as if he has seen a ghost and falls to the ground. His grandson runs over to help him. We move to the house of Friedrich, who has already recovered from his fainting spell. Na tells Jonas that his grandfather saw Helena. At that moment, the confused boy does not believe her. The girl leaves the house in upset feelings. That night, Jonas wakes up next to Helena. She kisses him and makes love to him. In the morning, the woman quietly leaves the house, but Na notices her and angry leaves the boy's breakfast on the porch. A few hours later, Na and Jewel are running on the beach. She tells her friend what happened this morning and what happened at the seminar. Then Jewel tells her that her father had a teacher who looked a lot like Helena and had the same hair that morning Jonas is going to school. But his grandfather asks him not to go. The boy wonders if it has something to do with his teacher, but Friedrich quickly dismisses it. Jonas tells him what Na saw, and his grandfather replies that maybe she was imagining it. The grandfather gives his grandson the breakfast that Na left behind, and this helps realize that she saw Helena leave his house in the morning at school. Na looks through old school albums in the library. She finds a photo of Helena with a different name. Suddenly the teacher comes in, and Na asks her why she came to the island, fearing that Nina will tell Jonas everything the woman kills her. Meanwhile, the boy wanders the corridors in search of Na. Helena throws him off the scent and returns to the library to hide the body. The woman takes some duct tape and rope ties the dead girl up with a curtain and then carries the load to her car along the way. She realizes that she has forgotten the girl's bicycle and goes back to get it on the beach. Jonas finds his friends. He asks about Na, and they tell him that she was at school this morning. Meanwhile, Helena is on the other side of the beach getting rid of Nina's body. Later, we see her rubbing powder and receiving a message from Jonah saying that he wants to meet her as soon as possible. During the meeting, the boy tells her about the girl's disappearance. Helena assures him that the girl is jealous of him because of what she saw in the morning, so she suggests that he remain friends, but Jonas does not agree with this proposal and kisses her. They spend the night together the next morning. Fredrik wakes up his grandson and tells him that Nina's body has been found on the beach. When they arrive there, we see Nina's devastated mother, and Fredrik faints again and is taken to the hospital. Later, Jonas and Florian realize that Nina's death was not an accident in the school library. Jewel tells the boys about her hunch. They start looking through the yearbook and realize that it is missing pages. Then they try to find information on the school website and find a photo of Friedi with Helena. The friends find out that she drowned. Meanwhile, Helena visits Fredrik in the hospital and he looks at her in horror. She accuses him of killing her mother. And now it turns out that Fredrik is her father who wanted nothing to do with her or her mother. So now she's back for revenge. She confesses to the previous murders the next morning. Jonas is woken up by an ambulance bringing his grandfather home, and Helena arrives with him. The guy who knows her secret now treats her with distrust and asks what she is doing here. He then asks her mother's name, but their conversation is interrupted by a call from Florian. The woman offers the boy to answer it and assures him that she will tell him everything later. Helena comes into the house to make coffee and pours the powder into Jonas's cup. Fredrik is completely helpless, so the woman takes him to the window and makes him watch what is happening. She gives Jonas coffee and tells him that her mother had an affair with his grandfather, and therefore Helena is his aunt. The boy begins to feel the effects of the powder and almost loses consciousness. The crazy woman drags him to the lake and tries to drown him. Jonas beats Helena with his last strength and runs back to the house. He finds Fredrik lying on the floor, holding the letter Maria left him. Suddenly, Helena flies into the house and begins to strangle the boy. Before he can catch his breath, he grabs a piece of glass and stabs her in the heart. A few days later, Jonas is sailing on a ship and suddenly notices a girl wearing a yellow cloak similar to the one Helena wore. He frantically follows the stranger, but it turns out that she is an ordinary girl. Now Jonas is calm, knowing that he can start a new chapter in his life. And here's the end of the movie. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and press subscribe and like so that the channel helps in development.